Tonight, I'm welcoming from the United States Mrs. Heidi Basch-Harod. She is the Executive Director of Women's Voices Now organization. Hello, Heidi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yes, everything is okay. Thank you very much for joining us about our discussion regarding cinema status around the world, especially in the aftermath of this COVID problem. I hope, first of all, that you introduce yourself to our viewers about your work until you have reached the position of being the executive director of your organization.
Certainly. So I'm Heidi, and I have been in the position of Executive Director for Women's Voices now since August of 2012. Prior to that, when I left college, I went to UC Berkeley. I graduated in 2003. I went straight to Washington, D.C. to do an internship in the Congressional Human Rights Caucus for a congressman by the name of Tom Lantos. There, I learned a lot about how the US government actually does do a lot of good work for people around the world, and got to work with some of the best politicians who use their power for good, really, truly, and ultimately, seeking out ways that the US can use its influence in favor of human rights advocacy. DC was a very exciting place, lots of interesting people. The first day of my internship, I actually got to serve lemon water to the Dalai Lama because he came to speak to an audience there in September of 2003 it was. And it was very exciting, very good experience. But I felt that I've always been drawn to making change and leaving things better than I found them. And while DC was exciting and fast paced and glamorous in a sense in the world of politics, I felt like there was more I could do if I were closer to the people from the district. So I asked to be moved to his district office in Northern California, San Mateo, California. And for the next 3.5 years, I continued to focus on human rights work, but also became a non-immigrant visa specialist. So I would help families and basically people who are applying for non-immigrant visas to come visit family and friends here in the United States who would be rejected because of whatever reason. And on behalf of the congressman, I could intervene through the State Department to help them come to the United States for their visit. So that was very rewarding work. And I, again, saw how, government can do good for people. From there, I actually left government and decided to pursue something that I always wanted to pursue, was learning more about Middle East peace conflicts. So I actually moved to Israel for 5.5 years to first work in a journal called the Palestine-Israel Journal. It's one of the only journals that Palestinians and Israelis are working together to just to keep dialogue going, right? In the event that there cannot be peace anytime soon, that you have to just keep talking and sharing opinions and viewpoints. So I had a really powerful internship there, and they actually hired me to work as an online content editor for them. And the more I learned about the Middle East and living in the Middle East and conflict in that region, I understood the important role that history plays in that part of the region, that what happened in the past is as relevant and important and alive to the people today. So I decided if I wanted to make a positive contribution to that region in some way, I was going to have to learn what happened long before I was around. So I enrolled, or I applied and was accepted to the graduate program at Tel Aviv University in Middle Eastern history, Middle Eastern and African history. And I ended up focusing on women's rights movements in the Middle East. So I learned a lot about Egyptian women's rights movements, Moroccan women's rights movement, Iran. And then my studies, I actually ended up focusing on Kurdish women's rights and the Kurdish women's rights movement in Turkey, which was just incredible because, there's such a stereotype throughout the world of, just women in the Middle East as passive and things are just happening to them. And of course, this couldn't be further than the truth. And the rest of the world became aware of this in 2011 with the Arab uprising. So that was, exciting to be learning about this rich history and then to see it continue while I was living there. It was very powerful. And while there's been much chaos and unrest, I think, again, like even in these times, these are exciting moments, and we still will see what will come of everything that started 10 years ago. And I'm actually hopeful for those things. Then I decided it was time to move back home with my husband, and we decided to start a family, and I knew I wanted to be close to my family to do that. And I moved back to Los Angeles, and coincidentally, a friend of mine introduced me to the founder of Women's Voices Now, who was a Los Angeles art dealer and collector, and he was a man. He passed away, it'll be 7 years this coming fall. And when I walked into the organization, so to speak, it was actually an organization that was only focusing on women's voices from the Muslim world. So there was a inaugural film festival that collected films from all over the Muslim world, so really everywhere in the world, right? And awarded filmmakers, female and male filmmakers, who were using film to champion the rights of women and girls. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And the organization, I know you're going to ask, but it's really grown from there. It's much more diverse now, including women's voices from all over the world. And yeah, that's how I got to where I am today. Yes.
Good. And tell me, what kind of activities you organize usually along the year?
Around the year. So Women's Voices Now, we have 3 main pillars. We call it the promote, produce, and share pillars. So in our promote pillar, this is our online film festival where we put out a call for submissions in the fall. And this is for primarily female filmmakers who are using their skills and talent and their voice through film to educate and promote awareness about the struggles and triumphs of women and girls, which is very important that it's struggles and triumphs, because it's, this is, women aren't just victims, women are survivors, but they are also conquerors, and, women are human beings. So we're looking for films that really show experience of women to help to educate all of us about what that experience is and start to change our ideas about what it means to be a woman or a girl in the world. And then the actual film festival happens in the springtime, but again, it's all online, and we disperse cash prizes to six filmmakers. Then in the summer, we have, this is our produce pillar. It's a program called Girls' Voices Now. And this is a social change documentary and community activism training program. So we work with 12 to 20 girls aged 14 to 18 from underrepresented areas of Los Angeles. And in the course of 5 weeks, this summer, we're doing it in 3 weeks because of the situation. It will be online, but we teach them basically how to make a short film from start to finish, as well as how to build a social action campaign so that whatever the film is, it's not just a film for film's sake, it's a film to make change. So, if it's a film about, last summer, one of our groups made a film about the inequity between funding for female athletes in high school versus their male counterparts. And to draw attention that girls in high school, their sports teams don't receive as much funding as boys' sports teams. And this is a problem, and let's do something about it. So, that program culminates in a fall public screening where the films are screened, the girls are awarded a certificate of completion, and then after watching the films, the audience is invited to have an evening of empathy to action. So there's these booths that the girls create around their film and the campaign, and right there in that moment, you sort of can put the empathy and all of the emotion and passion that you maybe have felt for a film that you watch, you put it to action right after the experience, so that we don't waste that incredible energy that comes from watching a film that makes you feel something. And then in our share pillar, this is our film library, film collection, and this is a living, growing, expanding storehouse of films, but stories of women and girls from all over the world on a variety of topics that are women's rights related. They are free and online and available for streaming anywhere in the world all the time, no matter where you are, as long as you have an internet connection. And people are able to just pick those up off of our website, view them off our website, or quite often we work with international partners to curate screening programs for them and help them sort of sift through the library, because it's 200 films, 45 languages, tens of topics. And that's just it's a free educational resource and tool that we're hoping more and more people will continue to utilize.
Yes, and the library access is for free or for a certain?
It's for free. It's for free. Yes.
Yes, and how do you acquire films from all around the world?
Sure. So primarily our films are acquired via the film festival process. So
Mhm.
when we're getting hundreds of film submissions from all over the world, we're screening them and selecting them for the film festival. And some of those films we also want to keep in our film library. So we'll just ask the filmmaker for that. And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, and then other times we have amazing interns who are actively recruiting films, just searching the internet for things that fit the mission and the vision of our library, and that's we are approaching filmmakers to give us their films to stream. And we also have on the website itself, there's a form that a filmmaker can submit their film for review to be put into our archive.
So even before COVID-19, the festival was online.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. So tell me, how did you receive this knowledge of COVID in where you live in California, and did the organization had to react in a certain way, to about this problem?
Yes, so for us, since our film festival is online, that isn't really affected by the current pandemic,
Mhm.
which, and if anything, it actually is a boon to our festival because people are realizing, well, if I can't go see something in the theater, then I better get used to just having the experience at home, maybe via Zoom or whatever. So we're actually hoping that this will elevate the visibility of our film festival. We're really hoping for that. It's our girls program that has been the most challenging, of course, because um, young girls all over the world experiences to empower them and give them the attention and nurturing that they're not maybe getting in other places, whether society or family. We have very powerful summers. We have really incredible experiences with the young girls that we work with, and I have no doubt that we're going to pull off our online program stupendously. But I am hoping that we don't lose any of that transformational experience that comes along with just having mentors every day and creating a cohort of sisters, if you will. So that I'm a little concerned about that, to be honest, but we're going to do the best we can, and we can't miss a year. We get there no matter, especially now if everyone's stuck at home, there are voices and experiences that need to be heard more than ever. And as we know, film is so powerful. We need to not lose the opportunity to work with these young people.
Very good. And when is the next edition of the festival?
So the film festival will open up in September for submissions, and then usually our film festival happens in March around International Women's Day. We try to open on March 8th, and we're actually going to be reworking the model a little bit, seeing how to better engage an audience since COVID, and everyone is more open and willing to have this online experience. So this before next March, we'll be really, kind of hitting the ground running, figuring out what's the best way to bring people to our films and to have a meaningful experience, and to walk away knowing that they can come to Women's Voices now to really learn more about women's and girls' rights struggles, and how we can all be a part of the change that needs to happen all over the world.
Excellent. And tell me, since you coming on board of the organization, did you try to make any activities, collaboration with other film festivals or other organization in other parts of the world? Yeah,
Yeah.
co-
So I mean, sorry.
co-organizing stuff, maybe?
Right. So, I mean, so we have partners. We really do have partners all over the world already. That's how we get the film. That's part of how we get the films to submit to our festivals. So we do try to connect with other film festivals that are, sort of a similar track as us. And when we share calls for submission and are always on the lookout for opportunities to do that. Yes. So yeah, we because we don't spend any money on marketing for the film festival. We don't do any ads. So it's really word of mouth and building an ever growing sort of database of women's film festivals and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Um, we in Egypt here, we have a festival for women cinema. It takes place every year in Aswan,
Mm-hmm.
every February. So we hope one day you can come as one of the invitee. Or
I would be honored. It is a dream of mine to visit Egypt. I'm very sad I've never been there before.
you should come. The festival is very interesting. Because you know in Aswan it's in Upper Egypt and
Hmm.
around it a lot of villages, and the festival helps to organize workshop for young people, cinema workshop and acting workshop, and also screening international films for the whole community. So it's very interesting. It will be, I think, very interesting for you to be in the festival once to share your experience.
I can't wait. I hope that's very soon, God willing. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming online for this discussion. And I will be sharing the link to your organization. I hope more filmmakers be aware of it, you know, and they can enrich your library with their new films. Very happy with all the support you're doing to women and filmmakers worldwide.
Thank you. I'm honored to be asked to share about the work, and I hope everyone finds something meaningful to take in through Women's Voices Now. And I look forward to speaking more in the future. Thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome. Thank you, Heidi, and hope to hear soon about very good news about the festival and the organization.
Thank you, Sherif. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.